Yo, what up, guys? This is QB here with the Chopper Express, and I'm here to bring you my OP13 Teach Decklist. And this is just the first version of it. But first, I just want to thank you all for commenting, and subscribing to the channel, and appreciate just putting out these videos and putting out more Teach information. So, this is my current list of Teach that I'm playing with. Mostly the only changes being from the last format is we have gone up in my era. So basically, kind of like first off, where I think Teach kind of stands in the next format is it's probably right outside of it's probably like right 5th or 6th best deck in my opinion. Probably like still hyper playable. Still has some of the matchups that you kind of like. It's just kind of like for Teach is always just learning new matchups, kind of changing the deck list to fit the format. But the good thing about Teach, if you really just want to keep playing Teach throughout next format, is that it has all the tools within its own archetype. So you really just have to look within that archetype to find the cards and figure out which ones kind of fit the format. And right now, from my first couple of testing sessions, it's kind of been more of a burgess beatdown kind of meta, so more blockers and burgess and making big burgesses versus the ace and emu deck, versus what it used to be, which is like the pop strategy. But basically, we can just go through the list right now. So in the list, we just got 4 Stronger, 4 Lafitte, 4 Caribou. I decided to play a 9-2K and Devon just because with Ace, Roger, and probably UP being 6K or higher leaders, having more 2Ks felt like it'd be more advantageous in this format. Just because you kind of want to stay a little bit healthier, just to give your burgesses more time to get bigger, and also give yourself more time to play your 10-cost teaches, since in that also being able to function as like a -1, since we're not playing Tempest Kick right now, can also come up a little bit here and there. 4 Docu, 4 Burgess, 4 Van Auger. So last format, most people were around 2 to 3 Burgesses, and now I went back up to 4. You could go back to 3, but I do think this is like one of those cards that versus Emu, versus Ace, and even now you can do it versus and versus Roger, like this card, getting multiple on the board, staying relatively healthy with blockers. Seeing this card, multiple of this card is like it's a lot better than it used to be. It's kind of back to the old style, pre like OP11, or yeah, pre OP11, where you could just like play out Burgess, kind of clear up a few cards here and there, but ultimately you want to get your Burgess to like 10-11K, and then use the teaches to kind of like lock out the big swings your opponent has and kind of minimize their swings. And then I decided to play a Devon as my blocker, as my I guess extra blocker. Just for now, basically with Devon, when I picked her over San Juan Wolf or Shiru, is because one, she's base 6K swing, so versus Ace, versus Roger, versus UP, she just has the ability to swing base if she needs to, and so I think that's more advantageous in this format, since with Shiru is usually versus smaller decks like Rayleigh. I'm trying to think of any other 4-cost decks. Maybe it's like solid against GP, but also with UP looking like I haven't really played against it a lot, but looking at the list that they were playing in Japan, a lot of them started cutting a lot of their blue events, so it's really just 2 red rocks, so the cost aspect doesn't actually come up anymore, and then you're turning that deck off anyway along with the Roger deck, so it being able to be rested by Rayleigh, by the new 8-cost Rayleigh, doesn't come up as well either. So I do think this card, I'm still testing it. There are times, obviously, when we get this format over here in the States, you could adapt the blocker to however the format ends up coming out. If Rayleigh ends up coming back into the format a decent amount, because we find a way for it to compete with Emu, Ace, and Zoro and UP, then you adjust the blockers to that. Truthfully, you probably don't need this blocker. I'm just a believer that with this deck, being able to fit in a blocker like Devon or Shiru is basically like playing multiple copies of that, because once you see it, you can always just get it back with your 5-cost Kuzan. So I'm always just been a proponent of, hey, at least play one rebornable blocker for your Kuzan. 4 5-cost Kuzan, and 3. I'm playing 3 6-cost Kuzan, and this is something I kind of saw at I guess hasn't been a lot of Teach deck lists from over there, but I think with one of the individuals, he was playing 3 and not playing a 7-cost Teaches, and I can kind of see it after testing a lot. versus Zoro, or versus Zoro versus Emu. This card is like really good. I've always versus Emu is like pretty insane because it's basically lets you eat a swing and then turbo out into burgess or turbo back into Kuzan to get more cards, and from there it's just from there you're able to like build your board out. So you save yourself a life for when they go over the Gorosei turn, because you're gonna need a decent amount of life if they're once they go Gorosei, because the next swing you'll get like infinite 7k swings. But you can like put them on low cards. So being able to like save your life and play Kuzan out to basically continue to build your board out wider as they get to that point in the game has been really advantageous. So I really like this card. I don't know if I like it at 3. You can cut it back down to 2 if you really need to. If we need to fit in like another blocker, or if you feel like if UP ends up coming back around with the Gold D Roger promo, then like maybe you feel like you need Tempest Kick. But without them playing, without the list that currently still playing like Blue Luffy, I don't really know if you actually need Tempest Kick, because you can usually get to the first body pretty easily with the setup. I still play 7-cost Teach, so some people deciding to cut this card in OP13 format. I understand after testing a little bit versus Ace, it just doesn't feel that good since you're not playing Tip to Kick anymore. But I felt like in respect for Zoro and UP, I think this card's still pretty necessary because it allows you to go first against both those matchups. I don't know how good the UP matchup is without it, with the way they're playing it, but with it, I feel like it's pretty similar to how it is this format, where, or it could even be better next format since they're playing like less blue cards, which is usually the reason you end up losing games against UP. And so I just felt like, and to have respect for those decks, the current version I'm playing has 2 7-cost Teach, 3 10-cost Teach. I think in this format probably more than the last format, like 3 feels almost pretty mandatory for, especially for the Ace and the Emu decks running around. One being able to turn off Mercury or turn off Peters and just force your opponent to have multiple 5k swings is really good. Also versus the Ace deck, being able to basically swing past the 10 beard blockers has really been advantageous, and then that which allows your burgess just to like beat down your opponent, since right now they're only playing Red Rock as well. And so it's really with that. It's not really playable versus Zoro still. Playable versus Roger. It's another deck where like they play one dude a turn, so being able to just freeze that one dude if you decide to go for the pop strat, where you like basically you could turn the Roger deck off every turn if you really felt like it, and just make them play the same curve you're playing, which the Roger cards without like ramping just are really fair cards, even stat wise. So you could just make them play on your terms and just try and like get to a point where you have the board and just 10 cost the rest of the board. When they get to 7k, they just have burgesses to like be able to like throw numbers at them behind Teach. I'm playing for my era right now. Like I said, burgess beatdown type meta, which kind of means I want burgess as big as possible, as fast as possible. So I think this card being at 4 is really good. You could obviously with last format we saw that we could cut searcher cards down in order to fit in more flex spots. Right now I just want to play a very standard, as I'm learning the meta and learning the matchups. I just want to play like a super consistent list, just to focus on that aspect of the deck right now. 2 Vortex for in respect for Zoro, 2 Black Hole. I think this is just a card where for Emu, just to get past Mercury so they don't generate more cards. Also helps you push for game. So in a lot of scenarios versus since there's a lot more blockers in the format, and just being able to deal with cards like Marco, Burgess in the Mirror, Workery, Saturn, since it negates first and then allows you to remove them. Sorry about that. And then 4 full ed, so just max consistency plus burgess beatdown. But today I want to just go through, I'm going to start with my first matchup that I started testing, which was a Zoro matchup that I got through Rank Sim. So here I ended up playing versus Zoro on OP13 Eastern side of the sim. Just kind of trying to see how this matchup goes without having like Tempest Kick and all these other cards to keep them off of the board. Because usually back in OP12, basically what you would do is you would go first and then you could do the pop strat, and then basically the Zoro player would have to choose whether to keep playing for the board or decide to just go go for face. So here I open stage plus burgess plus dot Q, which I think is good enough for me to keep in this scenario. I decide to go stage, send burgess, grab a 2K, bottom deck 2 full leads. And really kind of in this, I really just want to test this matchup more. I'm pretty sure it's more of the same when I went into it, but I wanted to see if without a lot of the pop aspects like Tempest Kick or things like that, how this matchup really is. But I think after playing it, so my opponent goes, give me 1 second, as my opponent goes Hiyori, gets a restand event swing 6, I go ahead and take that swing. Right now I'm thinking about what I'm going to rotate. I have black hole. Plus dock and dock Q, so I can either go set up dock Q this turn and then set that up with finding an auger next turn with stronger to pop a 5-cost body, or I can summon burgess and then swing over the Hiyori, summon burgess, and then have black hole plus stronger for the 5-cost body. So I decided to go with the other route, which means I don't really need this stronger at this point in time, so I'm going to go ahead and pitch it right now. And so now if he goes Cavendish or Tashigi, then I'll be able to out them, either one of them. But he decides to go Queena, which is also okay. He goes Queena, and he just goes ahead and swing 9 to push me down to 3 life. And so here I draw a Van Augur. I'm going to go ahead and rotate my Van Augur because I don't think it's a good card to play this turn into the board. And I'm going to go ahead and Black Vortex because I think whenever you see this card in this matchup, I think you just go ahead and grab it. I don't think you try and do the... There are times when I first played this matchup where I would try and cycle back down to Black Vortex or pass on getting a better card and try, or what I thought was a better card and try and cycle back to Black Vortex, but you just can't bank on that strategy. I saw this card pretty mid aspect of the game, so finding it again without burning through like 2 to 3 Lafayette's would be pretty hard. So my opponent swings 9, so I know he's just going to swing another 9 with 3 stand events, so I'm not going to take the block here because there's no point. I'll just take the 2 life and then try and just like live with the amount of cards I have in my hand. So here I go ahead and stage, pitch 7-cost Teach because I feel like my opponent's given up on trying to play for the board. And then I'll go ahead and grab Lafitte because I feel like if I grab Lafitte now, then I can... I know that basically I'm going to have to start using my Lafitte a little bit more, so I'm going to go ahead and play Kuzan. I'm going to crack my Kuzan right now, mostly because I can see the way the game is going a little faster than I need to go, and if he has like 2 to 3, if he has like 2 more restand events, then the game is going to get pretty hard, so I need to be able to like swing at his life with bigger numbers. And like I said, he's just committed to restand strat, so he's going to go ahead and swing 11. I could take the block, go Vortex, shrink it, take the block, and then float back into Kuzan. And so now I can generate another card, and he has to decide now, since he committed to this line, whether or not he wants to restand and still swing 7, or try and play like a blocker or something like that. I think on his side, I think it's kind of weird because like your restand isn't getting, it's like getting 2 cards. Like I always give you 2 cards, but like is it good, I guess is the question. Like you're gonna end up burning a restand now. If it's your last restand, then you probably may want to keep it and just throw a body out here, like a Koshiro or something like a Shigi or anything to just keep me at bay. But he goes in and burns the restand, so I'm gonna go ahead and spend 2-1. I'm gonna go ahead and keep the Kuzan. I think I could have pitched the Kuzan because I think in this list I'm playing since I'm playing three of them, I don't really need the second one. So I'm gonna go ahead and poke 5. Arguably I could be swinging bigger because like I said, I need to finish this game a little quicker. Cause I am on. He has put me on like a timer to like find everything. So here I hit Teach, Van Augur, Black Hole, Lafitte, Kuzan. I can either take Counter Power to take Lafitte or take Kuzan, but I'm gonna go ahead and probably end up generating another card. So I'm gonna go ahead and pitch to Van Augur. So I'll use that as my pitch target. And here I could grab Dot Q or Myera. Myera would give me more shots to try and find Vortex. Because basically what I'm doing right now is trying to find my second Vortex. Cause I know if I find the second Vortex, I can like comfortably maybe take the 12K. And so right now I'm trying to just like understand like, okay, like if he goes 12-12, I either have to like get up that much counter power, or I have to just basically look for Vortex and say, hey, do you have it? And then try and find like Devon or something like that to put behind it. And so that's basically the math that I'm doing right now is, can I swing big? Do I swing big, put him to 2 life? He'll have a whole bunch of cards in hand, but it'll give me a way to like maybe win the next turn. Or do I spend my turn just like flipping my hand around, generating more cards, and then just try and win this way. So I go ahead and swing 6 and see what he does. If he gives me a 2k, and then I'll swing 9, put in the 3 life. So I'm basically committed to the fact that I need this game to go around 2 turns longer in order to win this game. And so now I'm back to thinking whether or not I really need to find, because right now I have 4 2k, so I could always beat 12-12. The problem is, even if I do that, and this maybe I don't even need a leader ability here actually, because he's been committed, so I don't actually know if I need a leader ability. I guess the argument too is just so he doesn't trade over a body, and but I have 4 2k, so like I don't need to spend him anyway. And I kind of want to keep the little feet because I know next turn, not this turn, but next turn I'm gonna have to find Vortex. But I've also went Lafitte, probably 3 stages. I saw 1 Vortex. So what's that? Lafitte 3 stages is 9, 14 plus 4 draws, or plus 3 draws is like 17. Plus my arrows, that's 20. So I've seen probably half my deck at this point. And so one thing right here is what I really like about Lafitte is like when you get into like these type of scenarios, if your opponent is deciding that they have to trade, then like here I'll just go ahead and take. Not gonna restand or anything like that. I could Black Vortex it and restand, but I'm not gonna do that. Just gonna keep that. And now it's just normal Teach stuff where it's just like get them to 1 life. Get them to 1 life. Make sure you don't die to like any type of restand events. And here I can decide to either get counter power or spend a Dawn to make my burgesses 1 bigger. I decided that getting my burgess 10 is probably just good enough when you're playing this, so I don't have to get my burgesses any bigger. And here, like I said, I played 3 Kuzan on this list, so I can add the choice between Kuzan and Devon. Devon is more Dawn efficient, but Kuzan will set me up to have lethal in the next turn since I'll be able to float 2 bodies back. And so I either get smaller swings, which is what I decided to go for, because no matter what, the 6k or 5k swing or whatever I throw, you can get countered out because you can't go to 0, or you. So then I'll throw 10s. He'll take both, and then throw out another Kuzan and turn him off. And now I have blocker plus black Vortex. So now I have a blocker for the leader swings, for the leader swing, and then for the leader swings I can go like double blocker to make sure the leader swings don't resolve, or I can go block on Tashigi, Black Vortex plus block the leader, and there's 2 ways I can do this turn. I think ideally it's supposed to be, it depends how much he throws on his leader, because I do want my Kuzan to float into another body. I really want at least one of my Kuzans to float into the 3rd burgess to like solidify a game outside of Luna. And that's another card that but it's just not going to be played a lot in this format, I believe, just because it doesn't do a lot versus the Emu deck or the Ace deck. So it's just, it could be in their list, but it's just not something that I'm taking into account. But as you can see, this matchup like feels very similar to how it was last format. I think that yes, my opponent decided to stay off the board, but I think giving myself the option on my 6 Dawn to still have Black Hole plus Stronger to out the 5 cost would have delayed the game on my end a little bit, but I think it was still going to be strong. It was still strong, because if that happened, I still would have maintained a burgess going into his 7 Dawn turn. And so the game may look like slightly different, but I do feel like it's still pretty similar. So he goes and swing 11. I think in this situation I'm supposed to take block plus Vortex. I am taking block, but I don't end up spending my Vortex, which is probably incorrect. So, because what it's worth, if I spend Vortex now, I spent my 2k, I get the same thing out, get the burgess, and then worst case he has to like pivot. So I'm gonna go and just take double block, and this is probably just a misplay on my part. Like I said, if Luna was in this, it was in their deck, then I could lose, even if it's just like not a good card in this format. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the second block, and then if he has restand into what's that? Restand into 12, or yeah, restand into 12-7, then I may actually lose. So here I'm gonna go ahead and go vortex on this, spin 2s, and he is dead. But that is the Zoro matchup. Just to walk through it back it again. So basically, was able to just go for like a more of a burgess heavy line where just put out burgesses with large stats. So then, but my opponent decided to take the route of just saying, hey, I think he had like 2 restand events, so he decided to just try and pressure me out of the game with those. I think that strategy can work, but I think when you see Black Vortex and this matchup specifically, when they do that, it just becomes like how much counter power can you like add up throughout the game, and just not being scared to go to 0 and understanding that with blockers and Black Vortex you can basically just force your opponent to continuously have more restand events, but also just leaving the lines open to where if you have to pivot to like 7-cost Teach plus Van Auger out like 5-cost bodies, that route's available for you. So I do think Teach is going to be still playable within OP13. I think there's just going to be I think there's just work that's going to have to be done on the Ace and Emu matchup that I'm still kind of looking at. I think those matchups, especially the Emu matchups, slightly feels more, I guess, harder. I think the Ace matchup kind of, you can, because they don't play a lot of outs for burgess, you can just kind of do burgess beat down, turn them off once they hit round. Probably turn them off once you play your burgess, just because if they're playing Atmos, then you have that option. But right now with the Zoro matchup, it's pretty much still the same. I think maybe like slightly worse because you don't have the pop strategy to be able to employ as consistently, but overall I think it's like mostly just the same matchup. Find Vortex, make your board, try and keep your opponent off having their own board, and then at the end of the game just like turtle up and just make sure you don't die to like restand events and things of that nature. But hey, I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna have more OP13 content coming for y'all. Gonna start with a little bit of Teach, and then as I transition over to playing some Emu, probably get some of those games up as well. As always, appreciate y'all watching the video. Thanks. Peace.